This chapter completes what began back in chapter 13, okay? After the tragedy with Uzzah, David learns his lesson. The ark of God must be carried God's way, with holiness, obedience, and worship. This time, the ark's arrival in Jerusalem becomes a moment of pure joy and revival. So the first part of this chapter covers David prepares a place for the ark. David builds houses for himself in Jerusalem and prepares a special tent for the ark of God. So he declares, "No one but the Levites may carry the ark of God, for the Lord chose them to carry it and to minister before him forever." David assembles all Israel to bring the ark up from Obed-Edom's house to the seat of David, okay? David has learned from his earlier mistake. This time, reverence and obedience come first. The second part of the chapter covers the priests and Levites are consecrated. David gathers the heads of the Levite families from Kohath, Merari, Gershon, and others. Okay, he instructs the priests and Levites to consecrate themselves before handling the ark. He says plainly, because you did not do it the first time, the Lord our God broke out in anger against us. We did not inquire of him about the proper order. The Levites carried the ark on their shoulders with poles, exactly as Moses commanded. This shows David's humility and repentance. He acknowledges past error and corrects it. The third part of this chapter covers the worship teams are organized. David appoints musicians and singers with lyres, harps, cymbals, and trumpets to celebrate before the ark. Leaders like Heman, Asaph, and Ethan, the same musical families mentioned in chapter 6, take charge. Okay, the priests blow trumpets before the ark, marking the presence of God with sound and joy. This is the foundation of organized temple worship, combining music, holiness, and unity in celebration. The fourth part of this chapter covers the ark is brought to Jerusalem. David, the elders and commanders of Israel, go with great rejoicing to bring up the ark. Okay, God helps the Levites carry it safely. Okay, they offer 7 bulls and 7 rams as sacrifices of thanksgiving. David, wearing a linen robe and ephod, dances with all his might before the Lord. All Israel shouts, sings, and plays music as the ark enters Jerusalem. David's joy is genuine in worship, humble, expressive, and focused entirely on God's presence. So then, the fifth part of the chapter covers Michal's contempt. As the ark enters the city, Michal, Saul's daughter and David's wife, looks out a window and despises him for dancing with such abandon. Her reaction contrasts David's heart, okay? While he celebrates God's presence, she values human dignity over worship. What are key lessons from this chapter from the first Chronicles chapter 15? The first one is obedience is the foundation of worship. True joy comes when we honor God's commands, not our own preferences. Worship involves the whole person. That's the second lesson. David danced, sang, and rejoiced with all his heart. Worship is both spiritual and expressive, okay? Third lesson, holiness precedes celebration. The Levites consecrated themselves before touching the ark. Reverence prepares the way for joy. Final lesson, pride resists true worship. Michal's contempt warns us that dignity without devotion is empty before God. So in the first Chronicles chapter 15, David brings the Ark of the Covenant to Jerusalem the right way, carried by consecrated Levites surrounded by joyful worship. David dances with all his might as Israel celebrates God's presence. What began in fear now ends in freedom and rejoicing, okay?